Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into a skill that's both incredibly powerful and, honestly, pretty rare: deep listening. We're going to break down the 5 key signs that show you someone is a truly exceptional listener.
But first, just think about it for a second. Can you remember a time, a conversation, where you felt completely and truly heard? Where you walked away just feeling understood? It doesn't happen very often, does it? That feeling, that connection, is created by a very specific kind of person.
And here's what's so interesting. That ability to make someone feel heard is not just some nice personality trait they were born with. Nope, it's a highly developed psychological skill. It's actually a huge sign of high emotional intelligence and a really unique way of seeing the world.
So, before we jump into the 5 signs, let's make sure we're all on the same page. What even is deep listening?
Well, to put it simply, deep listening isn't about your ears. It's about your brain and your heart. It's the whole process of trying to understand the core meaning, the real intent, and the feeling that's hiding behind the words somebody is saying.
And this, right here, shows the difference perfectly. See, most of us, most of the time, are operating on the left side. We hear the words, we wait for our turn to talk, and we're busy forming a reply in our head. But a deep listener, they're over on the right. They're not just trying to reply, they're trying to understand. They're trying to form a connection.
Okay, now that we know what we're looking for, it's time to get into it. Let's uncover the 5 key signs of an exceptionally deep listener.
So this first one might actually surprise you. Deep listeners, they tend to have smaller, more selective social circles. They're probably not the person with thousands of online friends or the life of every single party. And why is that? Because deep listening takes a ton of mental and emotional energy, and they choose to invest that energy carefully.
This quote really just hits the nail on the head. They prioritize quality of connection over quantity of attention. For them, it's never about being the center of attention. It's about giving their undivided attention to create a real quality connection.
All right, moving on to sign number 2. This one sounds obvious, but there's a really important twist. It's not just that they're quiet. It's about how they use that quiet to make room for you in the conversation.
So what does that actually look like? Well, for one, they are totally comfortable with silence. They don't feel that awkward need to jump in and fill every little pause. And this is a big one. They almost never interrupt you just to tell their own Me Too story. Because their goal, their entire purpose in that moment, is to make sure you feel completely and totally heard.
And that brings us to sign number 3, which really gets to the core of how a deep listener's mind is wired. They are always instinctively looking for the why.
You see, they're not just a passive sponge for your words. They'll ask these gentle, open-ended questions, not to grill you, but because they genuinely want to understand more. They're listening past the simple facts of what happened, and they're trying to hear the motivations and feelings that were driving you. They are absolute masters at connecting the what you said to the why you said it. Okay, sign number 4 is all about what's not being said out loud. Deep listeners are experts at reading emotional cues because they know so much of what we communicate is nonverbal.
So they're watching your body language. They're hearing the slight change in your tone of voice. They notice that little pause you took before answering. They can literally sense the feeling that's bubbling just under the surface of your words. And as the research shows, this is a classic sign of very high emotional intelligence.
And finally, we get to sign number 5. And honestly, this might be the most crucial piece of the puzzle for making someone feel safe enough to open up. Deep listeners withhold judgment.
When you're talking to a deep listener, you just feel safe, right? That's because their number one goal is to understand you, not to critique you or fix you. They create this little bubble of safety where it feels okay to be vulnerable. And this isn't just them being nice. It points to a unique way their brain processes information, where understanding always comes before evaluation. So, there we have it, the 5 signs. They have a small circle, they listen more than they talk, they hunt for the why, they read emotions, and they don't judge. But what's the secret weapon? What's the one common thread that ties all of this together?
Well, here's the big reveal. All those 5 signs, they're just the symptoms. They're the things we can see on the surface. The real reason they do all those things, it's not a list of tricks they learned. It's much deeper than that. It's about how their brain is fundamentally wired to approach every single interaction. And here it is. This is the root of it all. A deep listener's mind is driven by one thing above everything else: understanding the why.
That single, powerful focus is the engine behind every other sign we talked about. Their patience, their questions, their lack of judgment, it all comes from this deep, genuine need to understand the core reasons behind what you're saying.
So, as we start to wrap this up, let's just quickly pull together the main ideas.
What are the big things to remember? First, deep listening isn't just sitting there quietly. It's an active and pretty rare skill. Second, the whole game is about prioritizing the why over the what. And third, if you spot it in someone, it's one of the clearest signs of high emotional intelligence you'll ever see. So, I'll leave you with a question to chew on. Who is the deepest listener in your life? And now that you know the signs, can you put your finger on exactly what it is that makes them that way? It's a pretty cool new way to look at the people we care about.